Hey, welcome back. I'm Lou Brutus, the host of the world-famous Hard Drive and Hard Drive XL syndicated radio programs airing all over these United States the last 24 years. And through all of that time, one of my absolute favorite bands has always been Sevendust. John Connolly and Lajon Witherspoon of the group and I are going through the new album track by track. It's called Blood and Stone. Actually, before we dive into the next track, I'd like to talk about the incredible album art for it. It vibes very much like the work, the best work from Storm Thorgerson, who did many of the Pink Floyd album covers. It seems sort of mystical and magical. Tell me about the image for that and how it was sort of pulled together.
I absolutely said it was Pink Floyd. It's right when we got the stuff back on.
Yeah. Who did it and how to come about?
I mean, we did a couple of tests for some different artwork. You know, we always kind of throw it out there, and sometimes you get something immediate. And, you know, the first batch of stuff that we got, we were kind of like, you know, it's okay. You know, I mean,
weird.
It was weird. It was definitely weird. But when we got that image, it was immediate. Like it was an instantaneous thing. I think everyone said yes as soon as they saw it. And I didn't even realize the significance of the Stones, how many there were. You know, and then the albums and then the songs, because I was like, oh, wow, someone connected all the dots here. And it was pretty awesome. And it was just like, okay, well, not only is it a killer image, but it actually means something.
Yeah, everything kind of fell together. It's just kind of cool.
And isn't that really one of the cooler things about releasing a new record, that you have these babies of yours and then you put them out in the world and suddenly they begin to take on lives of their own and people start to pick things up out of them, some things that might be there and sometimes things that aren't, but people certainly get stuff out of it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love when the fans dig in and start to, you know, speculate. What does this mean? What does that mean? And sometimes, like you said, they'll come up with meanings. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. But I just shake my head and go, yeah, you nailed it. I'm like, perfect.
That's the best. I love it when the family out there gets to interpret the way that they want to interpret, you know, and maybe the song touches them and this guy and this lady a different way, but they still have a meaning. So that's, you know, I feel that's really cool.
Do you remember off the top of your head anybody who came up to you and started spouting off about a song meeting that you thought was so beyond the beyond you had to tell them, wait a minute, you don't quite have it right here? Or
well, no, you know what? Yeah, I got one, John.
You did?
Well, I know, but you know, it's still beautiful. But every once in a while, someone will be like, man, LJ, that song you wrote about this life, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. I was like, hey, man, that's cool. I love it. Yeah, you know, John wrote that about his daughter, man. Take it easy. You know, that's things like that.
The right idea, wrong family.
Yeah, but it's, you know, but it's
either way. It meant the same thing, yeah.
That's the craziest thing that's not even crazy. That's beautiful to me, to be able to tell that story. But yeah, I don't think that we have anything where they're like, yeah, man, were you talking about like a little demon hanging out in the kitchen and, you know, nothing like that. So I think it's pretty much straightforward.
Well, let's dive into some more songs from Blood and Stone. The next up on the record is What You've Become. What can you tell me about it?
That was one of the ones that almost didn't make it.
Yeah, that was, that's what he can tell you about that one. Right. But it's great though.
No, it wasn't an easy song for us to finish for whatever reason. Like going from the demo stage into the music stage was totally cool. But for whatever reason, we weren't finding anything vocally and melodically that we loved, and we just kept going back and trying different things. And I think everyone took a rip at it, and then it was finally like, all right, we're either going to fix this today or we're just going to move on and we're going to go to something else. And it ended up getting fixed. It was one of those things, you know, LJ and Morgan sat down with Elvis. I walked in and said, all right, let's see what's going on with this thing. And sure enough, it ended up saving itself at the end of the day. But yeah, it was one of those tracks.
I like that.
Yeah, it's like it was one of those tracks that took a little bit more work, and we had to dig a little deeper. And everyone ended up, you know, helping bail that one out, taking the water out, and making sure that it was going to stay afloat. Yeah.
The next track on the record is Kill Me. What do you got for this?
Not literally.
Yeah. I was worried at first when I saw the title.
I just love this one because it was such a different thing, you know, opening up with that. You know, we always do, you know, we've got a lot of programming and some electronic elements, but that was one that immediately I was like, okay, this is really cool. And seeing how it evolves through the song, kind of related to kind of what was going on with Love, but just a slightly different twist to it, you know. But it's such a killer song. I mean, just from the start to the finish, it's one of those ones that when I play it, everyone hears that intro, you know, and that, oh yeah, I remember that one. You know, I love this song.
I think it's cool because, you know, I think the album, you know, each song it builds the album. I think it builds it. It's you got your heavy, then you have you break it down a little bit, and then you throw it back to them heavy again, and like the electronics. You know, I love that the mood setting. So I think we were able to capture a lot of different elements on this album.
When you incorporate electronic elements like that, do you then not use them live? Or if you do, how do you pull them off?
I mean, sometimes we do, you know, sometimes we'll, like, especially with strings and anything that's like super programming like that, you know, we've got those that we can actually pull like on a track or, you know, recording. I mean, depending on how we're doing it. We always try to make it to where we can do things without it. But if it was important enough to actually go into the set, that would be something, you know, kind of like the strings in Angel Sun. Like, we can do it without it. I think we've done Angel Sun probably more ways than any other song in the catalog, because we've done it completely stripped down, just acoustic, no mics, no nothing, in a lobby, all the way up to full-on electric with the full strings and the full everything, and everywhere in between. You know, sometimes we'll do an acoustic version, sometimes we'll do an electric version with a little bit of this, that, or the other thing. So it's always cool when you can kind of take a song from beginning to end, but sometimes those intros are tough. You know, it's like, you know, do you want to throw a keyboard player out on stage? I don't know. I mean, I don't think the intro would justify having another dude out there. But on the acoustic tour, we did have Kurt actually do a lot of those things, but he was actually out there playing keys. So that was a moment in time where we said, yeah, this would be cool to have someone out there because there's so much of it. And we wanted to do that evening with and have it have a totally different vibe. It's cool to do that sitting in a lobby with no microphones, no PA, just the acoustics, you know, Morgan beating on sometimes a table. Sometimes it's great to do that, but with the, you know, to doing the evening with, we wanted to do a big production. We wanted to do something that we'd never done before. So yeah, we always kind of keep that in mind, you know.
It's better now than it is.
Try not to lean on it so heavy that it's, you know, absolutely necessary to do.
Yeah, I was going to say it's better nowadays than it was back in the day. Like, I think we were overseas somewhere, and I don't know what happened with the computer. We weren't able to play, I think, because like the electronics weren't working or something.
Oh yeah, well, we didn't have any of that stuff. Well, we actually, remember back in the day, we actually did have our drum tech, Norm, actually had a keyboard that had like 4 keys on it, and he would actually hit like the little things, and then a key would break off in the middle of the song, and you'd be like, he'd be looking around for it, and be like, why does Waffle sound weird today? Oh, well, he lost that key.
And that would have been the final tap-in moment for that gig that night.
Pretty much. I was like, all right, well, no more electronics in that. That's what he was doing.
Well, he needed 4 keys for that song.
That was it. They're all taped off, and then one flies off. Now I've only got 3. And it was like, what?
And actually, before we get to the next song, since we're talking about live stuff, before you guys hit the road, and granted, it'll be a little bit different next time because there's more downtime now than you're probably used to, but how much do you guys need to rehearse at this point before you hit the road, having done so many incredible shows?
It depends on what the set is. I mean, if it's a set that has Black, Bitch, Praise, Denial, 15 minutes. if it's something that we have a lot of the new stuff in, it takes a minute only because when you're in the studio doing it, sometimes you're throwing ideas in the hole so fast. Honestly, I'm listening back to some of these songs and I'm going, I know that I'm sort of doing this thing, but I need to actually hear what I recorded to make sure that I'm doing it. Because I know I'm not hitting it. I'm like, either I'm tuned differently or something. So that part of the rehearsal is always interesting when you kind of open up the session and you listen, you go, oh, that's what I'm doing there. You know,
Absolutely.
Sometimes in the mix you can kind of hear it, but you kind of, you know, can't really nail it. So the new stuff always takes a little longer. And then some of the older stuff that we may not do all the time, like when we did the anniversary for the home record and then the anniversary for the first record, those rehearsals were funny because some of those songs we hadn't touched in, you know, 17, 18 years. And we're looking
at those songs we didn't want to play at all, ever again.
I remember that one part where Clint's going, no, man, that's you. And I was like, I thought it was you. And you know, the whole band just stops and we're looking at each other going, whose part is that? Wait a minute. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes a second to kind of get your head wrapped back around it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about another song on the new record. This one is called Nothing Left to See Here Anymore. Tell me about it.
I love the long title for that one.
Yeah.
I like saying it, by the way. Nothing left to see here anymore.
Yeah, thinking of, is that the longest title we've ever had, John?
Yeah, probably is.
I think so. That's another strong track on the song, I feel. Well, you know, you can ask me anything about it. I feel like each song is strong because it's been sitting for so long, and I'm just ready for it to get out. That's another great one for me. I personally, I love doing the vocals on this album. For me, working with Elvis as a singer is an incredible outlet, and I'm able to just, you know, be free, and that's what I love to be able to do, and I'm able to do that on each of these songs actually.
John, anything you want to add for this tune?
I think this is another kind of departure song. You know, it was one of those songs that was a little bit of an experiment. You know, we don't do a lot of stuff that's in 6 or 3 or however we're going to count that. And it was another one that was originated on piano. And, you know, it was an experiment. It was something like, all right, well, we're going to take a rip at this thing and see if it works. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, that's cool too. And it ended up being, you know, one of my favorites on the record just because it was so different. You know, it just had a different vibe about it, and it was one of the earlier demos that kind of stuck around. It was a hang around kind of song that was like, you know, every time I'd be like, are we sure about that one? Everyone would be like, no, that one's got to go because it's very unique.
It almost, that was one of those almost, we sure? Yeah.
Right. For a while we were like, yeah, it's a cool song, but is this Sevendust?
Right. And then as you start writing more songs, it's like, that one's sitting on the table and it's getting ready to fall off. So
right,
put it back over there.
Pull it back over there, yeah.
Well, let's hit one more song for this segment, Desperation. What do you got on this?
Was it called Desperation from the start?
No, this one was called
exactly
Centered.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great.
Yeah.
This song we started was one of the songs we did at the beginning of the writing session too, and it was great. I feel like we were strong. I don't know. I just felt like we were at a point in time where we were very comfortable. We were comfortable with each other anyway, and it was just easy. It felt like it was easy to write these songs and immediately enjoy and love, even if it didn't have a name. It was like, wow, you know, we hear it, I feel it, and that was one of those songs that, you know, kind of stuck around like that for me.
Well, good stuff. Lajon Witherspoon and John Connolly from Sevendust are my guest. We have been going through the new album Blood and Stone track by track. We're going to take a break. We will be back with a third and final segment to cover the last 5 songs on the record. My name is Lou Brutus, the host of the world-famous Hard Drive and Hard Drive XL. We'll see you for more with Sevendust in a minute.